Hi guys, welcome back to Nyx Reads. This is TBR 0 episode 2, where I try to read all of the 75 books that I already own until I have 0 left on my physical TBR. If this is the first video that you're watching, don't worry, you can watch them out of order. You can finish this video and then I'll leave a link to the very first video in the description box down below. In today's episode, I want to replace my doom scrolling time with reading time. I looked at my phone stats and I chose a week specifically where I just spent way too much time on Instagram doom scrolling through reels. So for the next 5 days, I'm gonna replace that time with reading. As for my reading list in this video, I'm choosing books that I still want to read that are from my fall or autumn TBR that I haven't gotten to yet. Read the first 10 pages or so, the opening, and it is already extremely promising. I think this could be 4 if not 5-star material. I know those are big words, but this author has never let me down so far. The setting is so atmospheric. It takes place in 1921 on the very wind-battered coast of Scotland. There's this little isle called Altnahara where there's a castle bearing the same name, which I think that's what we see on the book cover. It's very closed off. The inhabitants are very standoffish, don't really interact with the people from the town. Whenever they need supplies like food, wool, they will just leave little notes on the gate and then the merchants will pass and see what they need. They will bring it, drop it off at the gate. So it's all very mysterious. Nobody really knows what's going on in that castle on that little isle. In the opening scene, we're following the butcher, Jamie McRaith, and he's about to drop off some meat at the castle. And when he gets there, the gate is open. As he walks through the grounds, something is extremely off. It is eerily quiet, nobody's there. And a seagull literally drops a human thumb in front of him. So he keeps walking, he sees blood on the floor and he follows it, goes down to the beach, and that's where he comes upon a very gruesome, quite brutal, gory scene. This all happens within the first 10 pages and it is in the book summary, so this is not a spoiler, but that's how it opens and I think that's very promising. Today is the 1st of December, so I'm gonna take away all of the fall decoration. We got our Christmas tree yesterday already. We got it very early this year because I'm leaving for Germany in basically 2 weeks. And I still wanted to enjoy the pre-holiday season here. We also celebrated a very late Friendsgiving yesterday, so I still need to put away all of this, and there's more in the living room, and redo all the tables. And once this is done, I can do all the Christmas decoration. Good afternoon, it is the next day. I successfully read 2 hours and 30 minutes yesterday, and it got me to page 104. Admittedly, I thought with that amount of time, I would be much further in the book. I think that's just an attestation of how much slower my reading has become compared to maybe 5 years ago, but that's okay. I also can't remember getting so far into one book in one day. I think had it not been for this challenge, I would have put this down after the first maybe 10 minutes. So after Jamie stumbles upon that horrendous scene outside of that castle, we jump back in time about 4 years and we find ourselves in the midst of the inhabitants of Altnahara, of this castle. We get to see who lives there and what goes on inside of the castle walls because it is very strange. The one adult living in this castle is a man that the other people refer to as the uncle. He essentially adopted or basically plucked orphans off the street and brought them there to live with him. We have 2 girls. Their names are Dina and Evelyn, and Dina and Evelyn are the 2, I'd say, main characters in the story because we switch POVs between Dina and Evelyn, in fact. Living with Uncle is dire. He raises them with this belief system of spirits and magic, and he told them that they came as babies from the sea and that there is this power, this adder, he calls it, that lives beyond the sea surface. They are waiting to see who will inherit the adder's powers. He makes everybody fast for days on end, and then when they get to eat, they eat just literal mouthfuls of food. He literally dresses them in potato sacks, dirty lumps. They wear no shoes, just really bad hygiene too. And reading from Evelyn's perspective, who is little Eve, it seems like she's the only one who really has an interest in inheriting these powers. Where I left it off is a man gets murdered on the street, and little Eve, so Evelyn, gets pulled out by the investigating detective because he needs to question her. I think the direction this is taking is Evie gets pulled into the normal world and is confronted with the fact that nobody else believes in magic. Today I'm going to be reading 1 hour and 50 minutes, so a bit less than yesterday. I'm probably going to do some household stuff now. It's already 5 p.m. It's so dark. I'm finally going to decorate a Christmas tree today, so I'll show you that. And then I think I'll do my reading in the evening before bed. Decorating the tree. It's so beautiful. It's a little bit shorter than usual, but it is so nice and colorful. One of our traditions is that when we travel somewhere, instead of getting, let's say, a fridge magnet, we get an ornament for a tree, and it's been so fun to like open them up and put them on the tree. I even forgot that I got them, so it's kind of this nice memory at the end of the year to look at where you traveled to this year. The phone booth we got from London when we went in January. Then over here we have a little handmade felt vampire from when we visited Transylvania in the spring. This is from the Roman baths in Bath, England. And here I have a lantern that I got in Japan, which is technically for a car. So there's like this little knob here that you put on glass, but I'm using it as a Christmas ornament. It is day 4 of the doom scrolling challenge. I completely failed to update you yesterday because I found myself having to scramble at the end of the day to actually get all the reading time in, which means that wasn't it for this challenge. I just really wouldn't pick the book back up at the end of the day. I would probably just watch a movie with my partner or do something else. It's just such a game changer. So yeah, I really recommend this. So even if you don't have a booktube channel, if you're a silent watcher or commenter, I think it's such a great thing to try. You don't have to look at your doom scrolling or screen time, but if you, let's say, do half an hour of reading every day for a week or 1 hour, however much you want, maybe it's gonna change your week as well, because it's really changing how I look at reading right now. So let me update you on day 3 progress. Yesterday I read 2 hours and 29 minutes, and within that time I finished Little Eve. I did the tally. It took me a total of 4 hours and 40 minutes to read this book, which for a under 300 page book, my old self would have said that's quite a lot, but you know what? I can't remember the last time I picked up a book and read it in 2.5 days. I'm so happy. So this book went places that I just didn't expect. This just opens up so many cans of worms that I didn't see coming. So I think first and foremost, this is a story about manipulation. There's definitely more police procedural in here than I thought, because we have the detective who is looking at not just technically one, but the 2 gruesome things that happen in this book. And they kind of all weave in back together with how the dynamics of this clan are, which I would say that that's probably the main part in this book is how the uncle manipulates and treats his children around him. It is very culty, it is very wrong, it feels like a very twisted commune, which is interesting because the next book I'm reading is about a commune. This book is incredibly sad. I can see why this is a gothic horror novel. There are a few, I'd say, gruesome scenes in here. I think there's a bit of animal abuse in here, so there's a trigger warning for that. I think it's written very well. I expected nothing else from this author, but I do think I need to sit and marinate with it a little because it's kind of a genre bending story in a way, like all of her books, so it's hard for me to categorize it and it's hard for me to give it a rating. I think right now it's sitting somewhere between a 3.5 and a 4 stars, which is good. Then yesterday I had another hour and 9 minutes left, so I started Astra. I got to page 50. This is one of the books that my boyfriend got me at the beginning of the year. He always surprises me with 2 or 3 books, and this one he specifically bought it because of the plot summary in the back. He said it sounded really good, and I feel like this is gonna be a 5-star, like for real this time. You know when you read the first few sentences of a book and you just feel like, yes, this is going to be a book that I will want to keep picking up, I will want to make time for this. You just know that this is going to be probably a 5-star, and this is how I feel about this book. And I am now at page 66, and I still feel like this might be a 5-star, a favorite of the year. It is so good. The story is about our main character, Astra. She was born and raised in a commune, there we are again, in BC, so British Columbia in Canada. This is by a Canadian author. We follow her life from before she was born all the way to, I guess, adulthood. I haven't finished the book yet. And it's incredibly interesting because it is not written from her perspective. It is written from the perspective of the people around her in her life. So when you actually open up the book, you can see right away in the table of contents the names of the people that we're going to read the POV of, and then the very end, only the epilogue is going to be from Astra's point of view. And for some reason that right away when I opened up this book, that just made me extra intrigued about the story. It's supposed to be a project that shows how many different lives a woman can touch, or a person can touch. I just fell in love with the writing within the first few pages. The first POV we read from is actually Astra's father, Raymond. He lives or helped build this commune with a very good friend of his. He's not really interested in becoming a father, and I think what gripped me is just this honesty that we see from him. I think the writing is just so direct and raw, and I think it captures the emotions very well, but the writing style is still very flowy. It feels like a page turner even though this is not a thriller. So today I'm reading 2 hours and 55 minutes. This is going to be the longest reading time today for this week. Let's see how far I get, but I'm just really crossing my fingers that this is going to stay a 5-star. Good evening, friends. I hope you like my Christmas tree in the background. It makes me very, very happy. I went on a weekend trip. I still managed to read during my weekend away, and I was able to complete day 4, but just in the span of, I think it was 2 days or 2.5. So we went to Quebec City. It was such a magical weekend. We went to Quebec City specifically for the German Christmas market. So before I update you on my reading challenge, I'm going to show you some quick impressions of that weekend. So if you've ever been curious about visiting a Canadian city on the East Coast during December or end of November, I highly recommend going to Quebec City. The part of the Old Town is also a UNESCO World Heritage. So now I'm on day 5, the last day of this challenge. I have a total of 2 hours and 27 minutes to read, and I have about 2 hours left for today, and I am almost finished with this book, with Astra. I have less than 100 pages left, and I am still on the 5-star train. I love this book so much. What a fantastic character study about a person done through the eyes of the people around her. Astra remains this very elusive person with this very interesting, completely unusual background, and obviously that's kind of a magnet for people, right? Like, you hear somebody telling that story and that kind of draws people in many different ways. And I find often it's about people who take her in, who kind of want to fix her, make her better, help her, take her under their wing. But in reality, it's more or less to control her, because they see her as this project person, because she, you know, she doesn't dress conventionally, she doesn't behave conventionally. Her life kind of unfolds in also a more unconventional way. Because we only ever read from other people's perspectives, you as the reader, you also kind of feel like, oh my God, this Astra is kind of a train wreck. She needs help. She needs to get her life on track. And then usually by the end of the chapter, we get this little glimpse of her voicing out her feelings, because we don't really get to know her. We're not in her head. And that's when you start to doubt how good the intentions are of the person you're reading the chapter's POV from. So I'm very, very much looking forward to the very last chapter. I think it might just be the epilogue of reading through Astra's eyes. I'm really loving it. I hope that this will remain a 5-star contender until the end. Cross my fingers. I officially finished day 5 of reading instead of doom scrolling, and I also finished this book. I'm giving this book 5 stars. I loved it from start to finish. All these different perspectives, this whole lead up made me so curious to finally read from Astra's perspective in the epilogue, and I think that the author did a great job in changing the narrative voice, so suddenly we're in first-person narration, which we were not before. Even though this is not a very long book, it's under 300 pages, it really feels like we were there with her throughout all the decades. I really did love the premise and the execution of this book. Just everything came together. I think that the individual voices of the characters and how they were looking at Astra, how they were judging her, but also how they were loving and supporting her, were just so great to read from. This is definitely a win and is one of the best books I read this year. In Christmassy news, because I'm leaving early to go home, I already gave my boyfriend his Christmas gift and he opened it yesterday. And I think you're very happy with it, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Very happy.
I'll show you. It has steam and everything. We're at the end of episode 2 of TBR 0. So I started this project with 75 unread books. I read 3 books in the previous, or in the first episode. I read 1 other book outside of the vlogs, and in this vlog I finished 2. So that brings us to 69 books left. If you want to see how I work my way through the rest of these books, then please do subscribe to this channel and give this video a thumbs up. Please let me know in the comments down below if Astra is going to make it onto your 2026 TBR. I really, really hope that some of you will want to pick up this Canadian book. And if you just want to let me know that you're still watching but don't want to comment anything, why don't you leave me a dog emoji? Thanks so much for watching. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.